All right, we are back. It's been a while. It's been a very busy few months, and my regular videos just slipped. Something that I need to get back on top of. So 19.2, firstly, we'll start with. It's just finished a couple of hours ago. 3 workouts to go, and what a very interesting start to the Open. It's been, I feel like, a lot of lower body testing, at least for the anyone that's trying to go into the games, looking to qualify through the Open, national champions, games level athletes, all that sort of thing. It's been a very lower body dominant test on the legs, and I don't think the toe, like stuff like the toes bar and the double unders really bothered anyone. It was more like rowing, wall balls or whatever, and clean cycle speed. So be interesting to see what comes in the next few weeks, and especially next week if we see a massive leaderboard flip with something like strict handstand push-ups, thrusters, burpees, something like that. So moving forward, I'll try and get like a first impression video. I know everyone's doing them, so I don't even know if I can do them as good as some people, but maybe I can give you a different take on it. And but I want to stay true to my usual path of what I speak about, and today that is really talking about our ego and universal tests. So I think that we all, when we're young, we have a idealistic view of what our lives and then what we want that to be, and that expands and grows as we age. And some of us stop believing that we can create the life that dream life. We follow the wrong path, or we get buried under commitments, and just get too far deep down into what we're doing, and it feels like we can never get back to that original dream we had, or for whatever reason, life just happens, right? And then it is what it is. So I think that one thing that's important to think about is whenever we're faced with tests, a very good way to think about what's going on, hardship, what's you being put through, and this is a perspective that I use, is that it's a test from the universe. So the universal tests. If you want to elevate yourself, just like I want to win the CrossFit Games, there's some hard work that needs to be done to do that. There's some demands of time, training, focus, mindset, all that sort of stuff, which is going to give you the physical capabilities to be in contention, to be viable for that title of the fittest on earth. And you can look at that as tests from the universe, just like we look at everything. So here's my goal life that I want to create. Here's normal society, working their 9 to 5, slipping, letting those dreams go, and just getting caught up. And I want to elevate. And every time I try and elevate, I just get crushed by adversity, time, whatever it is, money, people disagreeing with me, lack of opportunities. And along the way, we say, look, this is just not for me. It's not the right path. I don't have the time, don't have the money. And I think that we take that, without knowing even sometimes, we take that victim mentality of not I am choosing to elevate myself to a higher plane of living. And the universe is going to test me. If I want to separate myself from everyone else, why should it be easy? Why should the universe just allow me just because I want something? Law of attraction, just because I want something, why should the universe allow it? A billion people want to live whoever you fantasize about and have no issues with money and time and all that sort of stuff. So why you? You think you shouldn't be tested? Like, the universe is going to test you. You got to prove that you want. And the closer you get and the higher that you're trying to elevate. So, for example, to go from making $0 to $10 a week, you're going to be tested a little bit, but not much, right? You do it pretty easily. To go from $50,000 a year to $100,000 a year is going to be a bit different. To go from $100,000 to $500,000 to $1 million to multi-million dollars a year, substantially bigger requirements, stress. Even if it's not purely down to time, there's going to be tests, and it's going to shape and affect all aspects of your life. And that you can look at, and I choose to look at, as we're privileged to even have the choice to chase these dreams. And the universe is going to test us. Like, do you really want to be here? You got to show you that you deserve to be here. Or you can go back to being like everybody else and fail the test, essentially, until you have your next thing that you want to achieve. And then I'll wait for that moment, and then I'll test you again. And so on and so on, and people just keep failing and try a new thing, fail. Oh, it just wasn't for me, and so on. But, you know, break through it. If it's really what you want, you're going to be tested. The closer you get, the harder the tests are going to be, the more painful they might be. They come internal. Usually it's ourselves that it's stopping us. They're going to be more regular. I used to only get this once every 3 months. Now it's monthly, weekly. It's every day it feels like I'm just being tested. Yeah, you're getting closer. Push through it. Man, that's why, like, the CrossFit Games, multiple tests every day. Not just one test. Who won it? I keep using the CrossFit Games because I'm a CrossFit athlete, right? And now, where does our ego come into it? First of all, like, what is our ego? When did we construct this thing? We all look at our ego like it's a part of us. Like, my ego is whatever, like it's a heart or it's a lungs or it's some organ inside of us that is attached to us. No, our ego is us, our self-image. It's like if you look in the mirror, that's your ego. In a sense, like that's all it is. It's just an image that you portray of yourself, how you'd like to be seen in the world, all your misunderstood views, values, things that have gotten you to where you are, things that help you fit in and maintain your friendship groups and status. But none of it's real. It's not like if I pull your ego out, you're going to die. You might feel like you're going to die. You're going to die, like an ego death. But it's not like if I pull your heart out, you're actually going to die. You know, it's this self-constructed thing that we learn along the way. We listen to bad advice. We get advice off people that hold other prejudice, that they've held this idea, and the information they're giving to you is 30 years old. They're 60. They developed this idea when they were 18. And they just never developed it any further. They never learnt anymore, but they held on to it. And because they're old and you give them respect, it feels like gospel. And we take it in and consume it. And some bit of advice that was developed in 1932, we're holding on to like it's some magic thing in 2019. And if you took the same thing, some piece of technology or a car from that same age, it would be useless to us in this day and age. But just because it's some piece of advice, I think that we hold too much on it and we don't question enough. We're not hard enough on ourselves and on the advice that we're receiving. Like if your friend who was 16 years old gave you the same advice that this 96-year-old gave you, you'd be like, you're a fucking idiot. Like that makes no sense. Or it doesn't apply to me, it doesn't apply to this current time. But because your granddad or this person that you respect and you hold in high regard because they're old and seem wise, you take them very seriously. And you change your whole life. Now, secondly, like, your ego and your self-image, super powerful, not all bad, right? Very good and can help you a long way in life. But you have to understand, like, if I teach myself something and I'm also rewarded for that, good or badly, like positive and negative social cueing to some action or belief that's repeated that I learn, well, then my body's going to learn that at a very deep level, and in no matter of time, I'll have an emotional response to that. I might even feel something. I might feel sick. I might feel happy, sad, and you could move to a different part of the world, relearn that, and lose that or gain another type of emotional response. We need to be very careful of like what we're repeatedly telling ourselves and letting our friendship groups and families reward and social cue into our brains, because it's shaping your whole reality. Like, because for a bigger part than we like to admit, we're very responsive creatures at a visceral level. So if we start to have an emotion in some way, it's very hard then to catch yourself, get rid of that emotional response, like I feel sick or I feel nervous or I feel sad, and to say, no, that's just like something that I've learnt to feel. It's like, no, I actually feel this. It's affecting me. My heart rate's increased. I feel like sweaty. A good example is someone who's terrified of spiders and someone who's not. Literally, they'll see a different thing when they look at it. So you see it on the wall, they see it on the wall, and they see like this gigantic big fangs, and you look at it and you're like, I can't even see the fangs. What are you talking about? It's only this big. But literally, they've shaped it, and their brain perceives it a different way. So it seems larger, it seems more intimidating, it seems like it's like looking at them like it's going to attack them. They get an emotional response, and repeated and repeated and repeated, it gets worse and worse and worse, or they can train themselves out of it. And we know that exists with stuff like fears of heights and spiders, and you can train yourself out of it, but we don't let ourselves think about it the same way when it comes to like relationships, interpersonal skills, understanding of others, understanding of society and where we fit in. We just go with it, and if that's what the general consensus is, then that's what we tend to like fit into, whether we like it or not, because it's very hard to step out of it and be like, no, I don't believe that, and no one understands you, and you feel like you're alone. And it links back into our, the tests on the universe. Man, like, perspective is a crazy thing. If we could see the whole universe in its entirety, like, we'd feel so pointless, right? Like, you get on a plane, the place where you live seems pointless. You go to a different place and all your problems seem less because they're far away. And it's all just perspective, and we can only see from our own perspective, and that's right here in my head. I will only ever see from here. You will only ever see me from your perspective, and that's just the way it is. And we need to get deep down into that and understand, like, I'm having a reaction to this, whatever it may be, this conversation I'm having, this argument this person's put forward, this workout, this situation I'm in at work, this stress, this relationship issue I'm having. Why am I having this? Is it like an ego thing? Is it just over the course of however long I've been alive? And this is why I think it gets harder as you get older, because your ideas are more chiseled in stone in a certain way. Like they've been with you longer, so they're harder to let go of. Just like living in a shitty town, you live there for long enough and it's hard to leave. Whereas you go to a shitty town for one day, you can't wait to get the fuck out of there. So the better and the earlier that we learn this stuff, the better we question ourselves. Question, like, why am I having this response? is it just something that I've learnt and it's just going against something that I've heard a bunch of times, and now I'm having a response to it, like aggression or fear or like dismissing it, like stupidity. And really it's like just challenging our ego, and our ego is actually forming the way that we are looking forward, and not us being in control of it and then letting our ego assist us through life. Like, there's times where it's important to have an ego for sure, like competition. You need to have a little bit of an ego. You can't go in just not giving a shit how it goes. Like, I hope everyone else wins and I'm just here to have a good time. Very rarely do those people ever become a champion. Like, the champions of the world are egotistical and cutthroat. They want to win. Now, the difference is, like, for me, and I've battled with this, like, coming from a place of pure egotistical aggression in my competing, and then letting go of all that and not really knowing how to compete or what's driving me anymore, and coming to the realization that it's not a sacrifice. Me competing is not a sacrifice. Something that I choose to do, and choosing to try and become the fittest man on the planet is ridiculously stupid. It's like, it's a silly thing to do. It's almost laughable. It's like, what a waste of time. Like, who are you proving it to? If the workouts were different, you might not have won. It resets every year. Like, there's no tangible thing. It's just like a silly thing. It's like trying to be the best 100-meter sprinter. It's a silly thing to do with your life, really. Like, yeah, you might inspire some people, and that's positive stuff that can come from it, but really it's a silly thing. Like, you're not saving anyone. You're not really like giving back to the community. You're not building hospitals and like treating heaps of people. You're not expanding people's minds and helping them overcome issues. And, you know, you might do that along the way. I might do that along the way as I coach, but that's got nothing to do with me competing. Me as a competitor, that's a silly, selfish endeavor. And I need to understand that, but it's a choice that I get to make. And it's a choice that I won't be able to make in 5-10 years. I won't be able to do it. I'll be too old, or I might, my life will be different, and there'll be someone younger that's making that choice. And if I get to look at it as a choice, then there's no sacrifice. Every day I choose to go into this and see where it takes me, and I receive from the universe the gift of time to be able to do it, the gift of youth to be able to do it, the gift of my physicality and my mental state, that I'm able to pursue it. So right there, my ego is helping me in my competitive mindset, and I'm seeing the tests of the universe, which are going to come every single day when I train, as a positive thing. Not, this is so hard, other people have more time than me, have bigger sponsors, they don't have to worry about financial, I'm sacrificing so much, I could be at the gym, I could be seeing my family, I could be doing this, doing that, pursuing this, pursuing that. And I think that's where a lot of people get themselves into. It's like, this now feels like a chore and something that's imposed upon me, not like, this is an awesome thing that I get to choose to do, and my ego is going to help me get there. And as I get these tests from the universe, I know I'm getting closer. All positive in what could be really stressful and negative. So I hope I tied that all together, and see you next week.